Hey everyone, welcome to episode 49 of Insights in Minutes. Today, we're going to talk about the EU AI Act that's on top of everyone's minds right now. Imagine your Berlin office has been using an AI-powered HR screen for months. No cataloging, no risk assessment, no candidate notification. That's 3 EU AI Act violations before breakfast. And honestly, most companies don't even realize it's happening.
That's what's so wild. Enterprises think they're safe because the vendor says compliant, but the act holds you accountable as the deployer. I'm glad we're tackling this today because the August 2026 deadline is coming fast, and less than a third of European SMEs have taken any steps.
Listeners, if your team uses any AI-powered SaaS, whether it's Copilot, an ATS, or a chatbot, you're already legally on the hook. In this episode, we'll walk you through what that means, what's at stake, and how to get ready before enforcement begins.
We'll break down who counts as a deployer, the compliance timeline, the shadow AI problem, what practical obligations look like, the GDPR overlap, and how to operationalize all of it. Buckle up, these are not abstract risks.
Funny you mentioned Copilot. A lot of teams assume SaaS tools somehow don't count. But the EU AI Act is crystal clear. If you use an AI system professionally, you're a deployer, even if you didn't build it.
Right, and that role brings obligations. The Act uses 4 risk tiers, so where your SaaS tools land affects everything: documentation, oversight, exposure to fines. A missed risk classification, like an AI-powered HR screening tool, can escalate to high-risk territory fast.
And the Cloud Security Alliance flagged the danger. Many enterprises have deployed high-risk systems without even realizing it. If your chatbot rejects candidates without human review, that's a transparency violation. Most SaaS teams aren't set up to catch these issues.
Which means that simply subscribing isn't enough. You have to understand your role and risk, or you could be facing serious penalties.
That leads perfectly into the timeline. There's a misconception that everyone has until August 2026. But several EU AI Act deadlines have already kicked in for SaaS deployers.
Exactly. Teams are tracking the big date and thinking they have runway, but they're missing that some transparency and risk documentation obligations are live now, especially if your AI system affects employment or credit. Decisions.
The gap between actual and perceived compliance dates is huge. If your AI stack isn't visible and documented, you're already exposed, not just prepping for what's coming.
And with regulators starting to ask for evidence, not intentions, waiting is a risky bet. The time to act is before enforcement heats up.
What surprised me most is how much shadow AI is slipping past IT. Over 60% of AI tools operate outside visibility, and half of employees use AI tools without ever telling IT. That's a disaster for compliance.
That's the heart of the problem. You can't classify what you can't see. And when a free trial runs for months with no logs or oversight, it's impossible to meet EU AI Act requirements. Regulators will spot that gap immediately.
So building an AI system inventory isn't just a paperwork exercise. It's about surfacing every tool in use, sanctioned or not, and making sure you have the logs, risk classification, and documentation. Otherwise, you're wide open.
Shadow AI is the compliance surface nobody's measuring, and it's the one most likely to trigger costly fines and regulatory fallout.
After 2 iterations, we finally see what deployer obligations look like. AI system inventory, real human oversight, 6-month log retention, staying within provider instructions, informing affected individuals, FRIA if needed, and vendor compliance verification.
And don't forget the GDPR layer. If your AI system processes personal data, GDPR and the EU AI Act both apply, meaning fines can stack. A single HR tool could trigger penalties from both frameworks if you're not careful.
That's why security and privacy can't be siloed. The governance and security obligations overlap. You need unified ownership, otherwise gaps multiply.
Which brings us to the internal owner question. Too many enterprises have fragmented accountability across CIO, CISO, procurement, Someone needs explicit authority to classify AI systems, enforce vendor compliance, and report incidents.
Last week, we got stuck on inventorying shadow AI. So I love how operational readiness starts there. Discover your shadow AI. Classify every tool against Annex 3. Audit Article 50 transparency. And assign internal ownership.
And CloudEagle.ai's platform can help by surfacing every AI tool, automating risk classification, enabling access governance, maintaining audit logs, and flagging missing vendor compliance documentation. It's about shifting from one-off audits to continuous governance.
That actually reminds me the compliance infrastructure you build now will outlast the deadline. The AI landscape moves fast. New tools, shifting risks, evolving requirements. Don't treat this as a single sprint.
Exactly. The question isn't just whether you're compliant by the 2nd of August 2026. It's whether your governance can adapt to whatever comes next. Continuous readiness is the real goal.
Let's wrap up with 3 key takeaways. First, if you use AI-powered SaaS, you're a deployer with live obligations, not future ones. Second, shadow AI is your biggest blind spot. It's both a compliance and audit risk. Third, governance isn't just a checklist. Continuous visibility, classification, and oversight will outlast any deadline.
And here's your action step. Start by discovering every AI tool in your stack, official or not. Use automated platforms, integrate with SSO and finance feeds, and surface shadow AI. Clear life. Click.com/.ai. Without a complete inventory, nothing else is possible.
Thanks for tuning in. If you're feeling overwhelmed, remember taking just one step toward visibility puts you ahead of most enterprises. Stay prepared, and we'll see you next time.